Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film, As Above, So Below. This movie doesn't have a bad concept, the idea of going into the French catacombs to find the Philosopher's Stone, not the one from Harry Potter. Well, it's kind of like the one from Harry Potter, but it's like different. It is a cool idea, but their execution is particularly problematic in this situation. The whole idea of making As Above, So Below found footage particularly hinders it from going beyond an already played out genre. Had this not been a found footage film, I think it would have been a lot stronger. I mean, this movie has problems, but having it found footage at this point and such a kind of routine found footage idea, you know, they have cameras on their headlights and they have a documentary in there also, just didn't really help matters at all. I've certainly seen worse found footage movies, The Devil Inside, for example. This is a cool idea of going into the catacombs and having all these kind of surreal things happen in a horror movie. As Above, So Below didn't really understand how to get the audience to care about a group of characters before they're going to be haunted and killed off throughout the movie. They just kind of took it for granted that you would care and would be shocked without having to earn that kind of audience respect. And it took a lot for granted. It took for granted that found footage would still be an interesting genre, and it took for granted that you'd actually care about these people. This kind of Indiana Jones type adventurer, Scarlet, is looking for the Philosopher's Stone, and particularly is an expert in the history of alchemy because her father was very much into it, and she wants to go to the catacombs because she believes that the Philosopher's Stone is there. And she takes her friend George, played by Ben Feldman from Mad Men, and takes her documentarian Benji and this French guide who is recommended to them by presumably a ghost when they take a nice touristy tour through the catacombs at first. This guy tells them that they should find him, and then they turn around and he's gone. And then they find Papillon and his friends. He is developed, but his friends are kind of French guy and French girl. I only remember her name because I think her name was Susie Sue, like Susie Sue and the Banshees. They go down into the catacombs and beneath Paris, France, where over 6 million bodies are buried, and they go down there to find the Philosopher's Stone and hopefully find treasure as well. And what they find down there haunts them and scares them, and they're afraid that they have gone into hell itself. That's a cool idea, and playing with people and the unknown is certainly one of the most essential parts of horror, is not knowing. Particularly now when every answer is very easy and at your fingertips, not knowing something and not having the access to know something is very scary, and the unknown is frightening. And going into the catacombs beneath the earth, into an ancient kind of mystical alchemy kind of idea, I think would be something that could be very scary. I guess I give this movie some credit for that, but that's about all the credit I could really give it, because it doesn't really know how to build up a group of people who are then going to be slaughtered. In the original Halloween, you at least knew who these characters were and what kind of people they are. And you certainly know the French guide, you know George and Scarlet. You don't really know the documentary guy, but you could make the case that he's trying not to be as involved, so fine with him. But his two friends are just kind of like French girl and French guy, and they don't really do anything with them or make them very distinctive, so when they die or get hurt, it doesn't really have any bearing on the audience. Really, it mattered a lot more to the people who I kind of understood their personalities, and they were very vague, cliche personalities at that anyway. It wasn't like you were getting that attached to them. Had it been a lot further developed, I think maybe I would have cared a little bit more and therefore gotten a lot more scared. It wasn't really that scary at all. They kept talking about alchemy, and I kind of wanted the whole thing to be like all these alchemists had somehow found a way to like be eternal through the Philosopher's Stone, and so they just chilled out in the catacombs and they kind of found all these weird stuff going on. It wasn't hell at all, but spoiler alert, that doesn't happen. I like the whole idea of the whole alchemy thing. I thought that was kind of a cool touch, and the whole idea of them going deeper and deeper and deeper. I don't really think they knew what to really do with it to have fun with it as much. They kind of do. I like how they show what these people are haunting them and are afraid of, with the flaming car and with the guy whose brother drowned in a cave. Some of them don't really go anywhere, like the piano you've seen in the trailer. What does that mean? It means like fucking nothing. There's a spooky girl who the camera picks up and you see her in the caves later when you see these people worshiping things, and she doesn't really have any bearings on the plot. It's kind of like the way they killed off characters who you didn't really care about. It's like they just threw it in because they felt like they needed to have it, but they had two characters they didn't really need to have. They could have just cut it down to 4. It just felt like they wanted more bodies and more kills, And, you know, I understand that, that's fine, but, like, maybe put a little more effort into those kills by having us, like, actually give a shit about your characters, since we're staying alone with these characters the whole time. So if I'm gonna spend fucking 90 minutes with these people, I'd like to at least have some sort of personality trait. I hope this is, like, the end of the found footage genre. I'm just so done with it. I didn't totally hate this movie because I like the concept, and every now and then it would have a cool little thing in it. It was kind of just an okay little stupid horror movie. It didn't really have enough fun with the concept, and had this film had a good enough director, since I've been through this genre for so long, I'm more sick of it than it really probably should be, which is kind of unfortunate for this movie because I feel like, not that it's a great movie, but it probably get a little better reception if it wasn't a found footage film. It's better than something like the Chernobyl Diaries. You even remember that? There's not enough fun in it, and it's just too far down the line since we've had all this found footage stuff. The scripting problems, the problems with making a decent horror movie and getting the audience to care about a horror movie are still definitely there. You need more than a great concept. Certainly that's part of it, and I guess the concept is what's selling it and getting people in there. It had a lot of good ideas to it, it just didn't really fully utilize them, and so the third act has a lot of problems because it didn't really know how to tie all this together, and it didn't do the background work in the first act to make the third act work, so that was the real problem. Maybe it's just a personal thing. I wish they did a little more with alchemy, but I wish we all did a little more with alchemy personally. You know, nobody does enough with alchemy anymore. As Above, So Below, it's too late to the party and too unimpressive and badly written to really make an exception for you as an audience to see it, or for me as an audience member to even like or care about this badly written horror movie with a decent concept. So if you've seen As Above, So Below, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. I don't really do many of these reviews anymore in the dark, but I thought, why not? I don't know.